Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, fully custom spec. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Fully custom spec. I think it was a Wednesday. Venerable commissioning tech, and I had been rewarded with a day out. Originally we thought we might go to the zoo on the company's dime, but line manager and department manager had ganged up on us and insisted we visit customers instead. In practice it probably wasn't actually that different, just further to walk between cages and no ice cream. During the day venerable service tech and I were accompanied and introduced to prospective customers by regional sales rep, and then later in the afternoon we were also joined by slimy distributor. I should probably mention here that there had recently been something of a situation at XYZ Limited. Certain sales reps, whose identities I'm not at liberty to disclose, had been selling things they didn't understand into unsuitable applications that they didn't understand either, and then some of them had even been trying to cover that up by giving unauthorized discounts in the hopes of securing the customer's silence. This strategy had not always worked out quite as well as they seemed to have hoped. It also naturally tended to have worse effects whenever it was the newer and more technical stuff that had the misfortune to be sold off the back of a wagon, a category my work definitely fell into, so I had become annoyed. My peers who had responsibility for similarly shiny, exciting and high-margin products requiring specialist application knowledge had also become righteously indignant. Line manager had tried to smooth things over. Various commissioning techs had weighed in, making similar complaints. Department manager had then seen the effect on the bottom line, and gone positively apoplectic in the quarterly sales meeting. CEO and sales director had been forced to read the riot act. No products in, large list of product types, would be quoted or supplied without the relevant specialist's sign-off. In writing, no exceptions. Anyone offering an unauthorized discount would also be seeking alternative employment. This last was primarily to thwart the aspirations of department manager who was making noises about having an actual firing squad. As part of this, special efforts were being made to support our field sales operatives anytime they mentioned wanting technical backup, lest loneliness lead them into temptation, and thence into pistol whipping range of department manager. Regional sales rep had been singled out for special mention several times in the recent past, and so was throwing everything they could find our way, at least partly in an attempt to prove that if we couldn't support all of it, they ought to be allowed to do some themselves. Slimy distributor had actually kept their nose clean. They mostly dealt with simpler stuff, and had a watertight pricing schedule, but they also got a finder's fee on anything tetchy they found and helped us get. So we were out showing the flag, demonstrating our combined technical brilliance, and sifting through the CR*P that regional sales rep had dug up for us. Throw in a couple of courtesy visits along the way. It was on this trip, I think, that I learned the truth about berets. Venerable commissioning tech, and I got on fine, and adjusted our act from senpai and kohai to forgetful elder and tech whisked as seemed to suit best for any given customer. Last visit of the day is an end user. Not an ideal XYZ Limited prospect, because we really targeted machine builders who'd then order repeat kits, but one-offs were also good as long as you double-checked everything and priced it to suit. Possible customer had a fairly familiar-looking job. Something needed to be moved from place A, where it was prepared, to place B, where it was integrated into the main product. There was a special device to handle the something, and this need to be brought down nice and accurately in place A, lift up clear, run across to B, and then be brought down in exactly the right place on the product, let go and lift up, and then run back to hover above A before doing it all again. The production line made more than one version of the product, so it wasn't just a simple single-axis vector move from A to B and back. They were going to need the ability to fine-tune the two end locations in 3 dimensions. At the moment this was all done purely mechanically on machines that were older than I was, and the mechanics are wearing out fast in an obviously turnable fashion. Spacer shims and other crunched-up bits of metal abounded. Possible customer also turned out to have half a dozen machines, and would like to modernize one to CNC control as a prototype, and then if that was good, the others would follow. No problem, we can do that. Venerable commissioning tech and I set to assessing the machine, noting down dimensions and other features. While we're doing that, I gently sound possible customers' point person out as to budget. This is doable, but it also ain't cheap, and the cost will climb rapidly once speed and accuracy pass certain thresholds. It's about this time that I realize Slimy Distributor must have been on the receiving end of a second-hand lecture from regional sales rep about technical people doing technical stuff. There's none so feverant as the recently chastised. Apart from one early gaffe where they just volunteered an apparently randomly chosen, and technically meaningless, large number for a product's IP rating, I couldn't help noticing how much they were pushing the importance of giving clever folks from the big city, TM, the right information, space to do cleverness, and answering all clever folks' questions accurately. Credit where credit's due. The measuring exercise goes all right. We wave goodbye to regional sales rep and Slimy Distributor, and make our way back to BIG City, TM, home of XYZ Limited. Over the next couple of days I collate the notes, do the relevant calculations, and then send point person at possible customer an outline specification with some stated assumptions and questions, along with a ballpark price tag. Interlude. A couple of days later I'm shooting the breeze with lanky commissioning tech, discussing a planned safari outing in another direction. Eating junk food while leaning against the cleaner parts of electronics testing benches was definitely involved. The door opens and venerable commissioning tech walks slowly towards us, eyes down and absorbed in whatever they're reading. "What's that?" says lanky commissioning tech. Venerable commissioning tech looks up. Fax from possible customer for oh joy. They've gone through what you sent them, and sent back a spec. Lanky commissioning tech looks at me and then back at venerable commissioning tech. Customers almost never provide specs, we have to write them for them. And? Very close to what we reckoned. Travel's a bit longer, they'd like a 10% improvement in cycle time. Probably means going up a motor size, I'll check. No big problem though, I padded it for that anyway. What about accuracy? Venerable commissioning tech scans down and then thumbs over another page. Accuracy they read out, the machine is required to be C*** CK on 100% of the time. Tall commissioning tech as eyes expand to saucer size, and they make junk food and airway noises. Where the F*** did you two go last week? Little city in the countryside, venerable commissioning tech, and I chorus together. Oh. Regional sales rep. That explains everything. Did anyone happen to mention what C*** on meant while you were there? I'm about to tell them that it didn't come up for some reason, when venerable commissioning tech turns another page. There's a glossary of contractual terms. And COC-on shall mean 1 micron tolerance. They can't need that. There's no way they're working to it now, or ever were, must be a mistake. I doubt it's even possible with the speed requirement as well, and definitely not with any of our kit. If you don't happen to know what a micron is, it's 1/1000 th of a mm, approximate 0.04 thou. A human hair, if you haven't torn them all out by now, is about 100 microns in diameter. 1 micron MOSFET 256 kb drum chips were cutting-edge technology circa 1980, and that hadn't been so long ago at this point. Hold on, there's more. Here you go. 1 micron shall be defined as 1/10 of a millimeter. Well, it might be gibberish, but at least it's doable. Oh joy, says lanky commissioning tech, what madhouse are you taking me to next week? I dunno, ask other regional sales rep. Lanky commissioning tech wanders off to find a bench clean enough to bang their head against. What the machine needed to do was actually quite reasonable, so we rebuilt the prototype, and then the rest, based on very carefully crafted specification and quotation written by yours truly. There was also a suitably tactful covering letter from Senpai Venerable Commissioning Tech, as to XYZ Limited's strange big city preference for using the internationally agreed upon definitions of SI units instead of ad hoc local ones. But possible customer was happy in the end, and the converted machines ran C*** CK on all day long. It's just possible they still do.